iPadOS 16 is finally available as a developer beta, and I've loaded it up on my M1 iPad Air, and as you can see right now, it is connected to a portable monitor. This is the DasLab portable monitor that I just reviewed on the channel. So finally, iPadOS has proper extended screen support with multitasking features with the Stage Manager. So I've been using for about a couple of days, and here are my thoughts about it on how Apple could have made things better, because to be honest, this is still not perfect. Now, as you can see right over here, after I extend the display of my iPad Air M1 over to my portable monitor, you can see that the interface here feels very familiar. It definitely looks like macOS, alright, with the dot right at the bottom here. But here is my first problem when I use this extended display mode. Now, when you use an extended display, chances are you don't just only want to show windows, extra stuff on an external display here, right? But also, you also want to get a different view, like for example, a different set of apps and shortcuts to some files here. So there is no way for you to create a shortcut to an app or to a file or to a folder on your iPad just on this big beautiful canvas right over here. So I think Apple should have done better by really creating a proper desktop mode on this extended display so that it really feels kind of like a pro device, even though I know that the iPad Air M1 is not exactly a pro device here. But this is something I think a lot of people would appreciate if they buy an iPad as their main computer. Now, let's talk about the extended display features when it comes to multi-window. Now, I really love the scaling feature that Apple has done right over here. As you can see, it actually automatically arranges this window so that you don't actually need to go and rearrange them around just in case you block each of their elements. I think this is a really cool feature that Apple has done right over here. But here's the thing, sometimes you don't need these windows to be so smart. I mean, yeah, I get the fact that, like you see, if you try to rearrange this window here to this part, right, and you know, it ultimately shifts the window a little. I get that, but sometimes I just want to place where they are, and it just doesn't work. It feels very annoying. I just want it to be like, for example, I just want to put it right here. For some reason, I just like to arrange my windows according to the way that I like to cascade them as I like. I don't just like them to arrange nicely, but it just doesn't allow me to do that, and it's kind of annoying at times when the iPadOS multi-window feature just do that. Now, the third thing that I really don't like about the multi-window feature is actually Stage Manager here. Now, Stage Manager is automatically enabled when you connect an extended display. You can also enable it on the main screen of the iPad Air here by just turning on a Stage Manager icon right over here, which actually restarts the iPad a little bit, right? So we are back to the screen here again. So this is something that I'm not sure why it requires a restart, but that's kind of not so nice if you're currently working on something and you want to turn on Stage Manager halfway. You gotta restart the whole process again, which is kind of sad, and you gotta restart everything again, right? But thankfully, most of the windows are still open right over here, and that is actually very powerful of the iPad Air M1 to keep all those windows open, right? So yeah, speaking about Stage Manager, now it's really nice that Apple gives you this group of windows here for you to switch between apps and between a group of windows that they really left open. But Stage Manager, as far as it goes, it's just confusing after you open lots of windows on your extended display, let alone on the iPad Air's main display. Now, first of all, there's no way to remember what kind of groups that I have opened. Now, let's say, for example, if I tap on the Apple Music app here. So when I tap on it, yeah, sure, it appears as a single app right here. Now, if I go back to, say, for example, files, for example, all right, so here you go, it goes to another app. So if I go back to Safari, let's say I just want to have Safari alone, and I tap on it, boom, it turns on both Safari and the other app, whatever app is this. So currently it is still a little buggy because it's on a developer beta, alright? So I'm not expecting a perfect experience, but here we go. It just doesn't make sense at all, because if I just want to have a single Safari window to be turned on my extended display, I seriously just want that. I sometimes do not want a second window to just pop up, which I probably do not want to use. So it's just something that I feel that it's not great here. And last but not least, on Stage Manager, I really wish that Apple could have just let me save the group of windows that I've always worked on. Like for example, just give me a shortcut on my home screen on my iPad Air M1 over here, like say Safari plus YouTube, right? I could just save it as my entertainment workspace. This is something that they could have learned from ASUS. Like ASUS has done that really well on their Screen Expert software. If I guess that is where Stage Manager is inspired from, because they are probably only the tech company that does that on their ZenBook dual lineups that has multiple displays. So I'm sure Apple probably got their inspiration from there for Stage Manager. But then look, there's no way that you can save a group of displays on your iPad Airs, on your iPad's home screen here, which can confuse a lot of people when you want to use an extended display. Now, of course, credit still has to be given to Apple for how well they managed to do multitasking on the iPad right over here. Now, let's say, for example, if I click on Facebook right over here on my extended display, and once I click it back on my iPad Air's main screen here, it goes back right onto my screen here instead of just keeping the window active on the extended display. So that's actually something that they have really done well here on the extended display feature. But here's the problem, right? So let's say I want to browse Facebook on a bigger screen here, right? So on a typical extended monitor, when you're using a Windows system or a macOS system, so you simply just got to drag this window over to the next screen, right? So you can't do this on iPadOS, which is kind of like, why? I mean, like, let's put it this way, when you are going to use an extended display, you are probably going to use this smart keyboard or attach a external keyboard or mouse anyway to use iPadOS, right? But you just simply can't drag this over to the next screen, which is, I don't know why. I mean, I'm sure they tried to think of like, oh, let's try to make this as touch friendly as possible. So yeah, they created this 3-dot button at the top here, which used to be for arranging a split screen window on your iPad Air M1's home screen. So if I tap on these 3 dots here, I get these 4 buttons here. I mean, ask yourself, if you are a typical user and not some kind of pro user, how would you understand what these icons actually mean? I mean, I would have preferred that they actually give a list right here to tell what these buttons actually do, but they don't. You just gotta guess. You gotta do some guesswork right over here and guess what they do. So I'll just jump straight to it. So let's say if you want to have Facebook shown on your larger screen here, all you need to do is to tap on this external monitor button here, if that's what it's called. So let's just tap on this here, and boom, there you go, it shows up here. Now, second problem about this here, how do we bring back Facebook back onto my iPad's main screen? There's no way. Like I told you already, you can't just drag the Facebook app here. Look, even dragging the Facebook app is kind of like a challenge for me. I gotta tap on the very top edge of the Facebook app to drag the app, which just kind of doesn't make sense at all. I mean, of course, this is something that probably Facebook will need to update their app, or probably some other apps will also need to update in order to fully support the drag and drop window feature of iPadOS. But you see, there's just no way that you can drag your Facebook app over to your iPad's main display. And what? You just gotta go to this 3 dots icon here again and tap on this display button here, and only it goes back to your iPad Air M1's main screen. But I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Like for example, this is a touchscreen monitor, by the way, so you can't even support touchscreen like on an external display. So I mean, of course you gotta use your mouse pointer to just to click on that 3-dot button right on the top here already, right? So the thing is that, look, Apple, I know you're trying to make iPadOS as touchscreen friendly as possible, but for someone who really multitasks a lot on a computer, and considering that I'm going to spend a lot of money to buy an iPad, not even considering the iPad Pro, which is about at least 4,000 ringgit and above, I really require an operating system that could do proper multitasking. But you know, the most basic stuff of multitasking, as in Windows switching and Windows management, nah, sorry, it's still not there. It's still not as good as it is on a Mac device, right? So which is why you see we still get Mac as a secondary option. Now, of course, one suggestion that I could offer, and probably Apple would listen right over here, is that they could actually create gestures. Like for example, if you want to make it a really touch-friendly operating system, you could just introduce gestures. Like for example, I could use like a 3-finger gesture if I swipe it up. Like, of course, now it doesn't work. If I swipe it up and it goes to the next display, or if I swipe it right over, it could go to the next display depending on how the arrangement of my display really is. I mean, it's just a pretty simple solution and they could have done it. I mean, they are a guru when it comes to multitouch and when it comes to multi-gestures. They do it better than anyone else, and I think this is definitely achievable by Apple if they update it in the upcoming developer betas. All right, and now the last thing I want to talk about is window sizing. Now, this thing, look, it just feels like, you know, again, it's about touch friendliness here. Of course, I know Apple is trying to make iPadOS as a touch-oriented operating system, so they created this small little edge over here for you to actually to resize your windows right over here, which is actually kind of cool because Android tablets, even when in their desktop modes, they don't actually feature resizing feature windows really well. They don't do that really well as well, and I think Apple has really done great on iPadOS right over here. But again, here's the thing, like, why do you actually make it so hard for trackpads to like do it? Like, I mean, you don't really need to go to the edge of the window here to do it. I mean, let's try something, all right? Well, how about using a 3-finger gesture to like resize, like do this, right? You could just pinch, to make the window smaller. You can just expand it to make the window larger, and you can just move it around as you want it. I mean, it's just so simple. You could just use touch. I mean, touch is definitely the main focus of iPadOS here. Of course, you do get the convenience of the touchpad if you want to have a more precise selection of text and so on. But when it comes to resizing of windows, I really feel that touching the display is definitely way faster. But to touch the edges of this, like as you can see, I just can't touch the edge of this window here anymore, and the only way I can do it is to just touch the edge here, which to be honest is not kind of great. And like I said, you know, they should have just implemented gestures on windows here so that I could resize the window really easily. And also Apple, since you sell the Smart Magic Keyboard alongside the iPad Air M1 and the iPad Pros, I'm just not sure why you aren't implementing more shortcut keys to iPadOS. I mean, of course, I'm kind of nitpicking right over here. Now, for example, if I have this Safari window right over here and I would like to close it, of course, the most simplest way is to just swipe 3 fingers up on your trackpad and it goes down right over here. But, you know, why not just give us the Command Q feature where we could just quit the app that we want? Like if I want to queue this particular group right over here, if I want to queue this group, like how do I actually queue it? Like I can't just tap on it and click on X. There's no way to queue off this window group. There's really no way to do it. Like, tell me guys, how do I queue a multi-window group here on iPadOS? There's seriously no way that I can do it right now. Alright guys, after spending 5 minutes, I just realized that the only way to queue the group windows is to just swipe up 3 fingers on your trackpad here and swipe up on this part here, and look, it still doesn't queue 2 windows at the same time. But you know what, you gotta swipe 2 times up, and that's the only way to queue the group windows if you want to do so. Last but not least, the extended desktop mode on iPadOS 16 doesn't support ultrawide monitors like this. As you can see, I'm now connected over a USB-C to HDMI cable. It is totally in blackness right now, not until when I detach the iPad from the Smart Magic Keyboard and it goes into mirror mode. So as you can see, if you do not have the Smart Magic Keyboard, the extended desktop mode will not work on an extended display. So if you want that, you're gonna get this really expensive accessory for your iPad. So there you have it. This is how half-baked the multitasking experience on iPadOS 16. I personally think there is still a lot of improvement that Apple engineers will need to make to the operating system, though credit still have to go to them for making this really incredible experience right over here. It is definitely no easy technological feat considering how much they have to consider the resizing of the apps, the scaling of the apps, and how to make apps show well on an extended display, especially when you want to make everything so seamless. So definitely, I understand the challenges over here, but seriously, the iPad is no longer just an iPad. It is a computer, just like how Apple is marketing it. So people buying an iPad like this wouldn't want just it to be an iPad. They want to be a computer. They want it to be able to use it over their MacBooks, their Windows PCs. So really, Apple, make the iPad a real computer and make iPadOS a real computer operating system. And how about like this? Just make a touchscreen version of macOS so we don't have to go through this trouble anymore, you know? So yeah, that's pretty much for today's video. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos coming right up, and I'll see you guys in our next video.